Yeah, I mean, when I saw the announcements for the Academy Awards, I was just blown away that, there were 3 that were nominated.
Now it's called the Enchanted rule, where you can only have one song from a movie. Yeah, so to be immortalized in a piece of Academy bureaucry is
that is actually pretty cool. But I will admit that I pretty much had the song from Once in the bag on that. I mean, I thought they had.
Well, that's a great song. That's a great movie. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I was sitting there.
Well, Amy did a great job singing on that. That's a tough song to sing out of context, and she did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that, I was like, okay, here we go. We got it's a song from Enchanted, and that song from Enchanted, and another song from Enchanted. Yeah. I was like, wow, that's
the Enchanted glut.
That's no small feat, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to jump into the time machine and go back to your first produced script, Blast from the Past.
Okay.
And my question: where the hell did you come up with the concept for Hot Dr. Pepper?
I have to attribute that entirely to the director. Okay. That's apparently Hugh Wilson is from the South, and that's a Southern thing.
I had never heard of that until
me coming from Chicago, as do you. I had never heard of it. I'm still confused by it to this day.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was just some little quirk that Christopher Walken's character had. I didn't even realize it was real.
Yeah, I don't like that quirky. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe I would ever actually try that either. But stranger things have happened in the TV and film realm. Was it Pepsi and milk that Laverne used to drink?
Yes.
Yeah. But okay, that was my question for Blast from the Past. Anybody on the panel have any questions?
Panel?
I have bunches.
I'm sure Don's kids have some questions.
Actually, I know my kids are absolutely freaking out because
I saw that.
I'm talking to the writer of Enchanted, and we watched that, actually not that long ago.
Wow.
We really had a great time, but actually I'm more freaked out.
20s? How old are they?
The fat kid is, he's 9, and the skinny kid is 15.
Oh, please. Come on. They're not fat and skinny.
Oh, he's fat. Really. But, actually, I'm really freaked out because, Blast from the Past is actually one of my favorite movies. I really enjoy that movie. I like that genre of, Robert Heinlein once wrote a book, Farnham's Freehold, which is vaguely along the same lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And, especially Brendan Fraser and the dance scene, being able to swing dance.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, Adam Shankman, who went on to direct Hairspray, was the choreographer on that movie.
Oh, really?
So you think you can dance?
Yeah. Well, the question I have is, especially with, and I'm going to ask this not only of Blast from the Past, but also Enchanted, that as the writer, during the filming process, how much are you involved during that? I mean, do they... It's
been very incremental. I mean, I was actually rewritten quite a bit on Blast from the Past by Hugh Wilson, which is the reason, I really wasn't even inclined to go for full credit on it, because I didn't think it reflected, me completely. Mm-hmm. And he was very gracious. He's a very nice man, and I was on the set quite a bit. Much more involved in Premonition, and finally with Enchanted, I was really heavily involved. It was really a great collaboration. Kevin Lima was a really generous, smart, great person to work with creatively. That was like my favorite experience.
Yeah. And again, because I know the P is going to jump in and she's just going to bulldoze in with questions. She's got a ton of them. But my one last question before
I'm sitting quietly here in the corner, okay?
And I know, because P is going to come out from my blind side and she's just going to knock me over. But my one last question though is that in either case, what did you do when you were on the set? I mean, I just imagine, because again, I always imagine the writer sits there in a chair and somebody says something and then the director says, "Oh, this is,"
it depends.
Come here, give me a word. So I'm just.
I think it really depends on your relationship with the director and what is required of you. For some movies where you're literally, it's all done and the script is written, it's like going to visit, and I think your one modifies one behavior, that's not where you're going to yell up and say, change the dialogue. Did you ever do that? But that I think for all writers that has to do with their relationship with the director and whatever that tone is. And I think the protocol really in terms of just how a movie set works is the director's the boss. I think for my feeling in terms of working with a director is, you write the script, but, they're the person who is in the hugely pressured situation of having to bring it to fruition. Yeah. So I've always just tried to be supportive. I never, ever say anything in front of anybody. With Kevin, I would, if I had any thoughts, I would just be to the sideline whispering. I would never, make a big deal of it. So it's a very specific protocol, and people are really, there's a natural resistance to writers on the set, which I'm sure you've heard from others.
See, and that I've heard too. So I was kind of amazed when you said that you were actually on the set. That really blew me away.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine as a writer, and then watching somebody else, butcher my baby, it would drive me absolutely insane. I don't know if I would have the... Well,
I think that has a lot to do with the security level of the director. And also with like how, the behavior of the writer. If someone's, because there are people who come on and be really hostile and I should be the director and this is my precious
from
baby.
From God to my head to this piece of paper.
Yes,
how dare you
exactly.
change it?
And really, who wants that person around? I wouldn't want that person around either. So, it depends on the relationship and behavior of people. But it's always at the director's pleasure or displeasure, as it were.
Can I ask you one more question? I fear I'm on borrowed time with Pia breathing down my neck here.
But stop it. I'm not even breathing. I'm holding my breath.
Blast from the past. You'd mentioned that Hugh Wilson changed the script. How different was in your mind your final script from the final movie? Because that movie the script could have gone a million ways, a million places. I really like the premise of it, and I'm not trying to I don't want you to be, I don't know what the word is. I'm just curious to see, what was your vision when, how the movie ended as opposed to what actually came out on the screen?
It's interesting. It's an interesting movie to watch for me because it's like Bizarro Superman. You recognize all the people, but they're not the way you necessarily envision them. Yeah. So the storyline is definitely mine. The characters are all mine. The dynamics of the characters and the theme of the movie is all mine. It's just different words coming out in different ways that the relationships play out. It's the movie that was never made in terms of the script that you have in the script, and it's the movie in your head. Yeah. I think in mine, they ended up turning the bomb shelter into a nightclub. Which is neither here nor there. It's just different in terms of the choices. So that's what I feel. I wrote that movie, and at the same time, you always think I would have done something different. But it's interesting. I think in any movie, you're always, in most people, would always have done something differently, even in something where they were completely, involved and then they made decisions. You'd change things. And I think that's true of any movie.
Yeah, one thing I really liked about the movie was the very end of it, because I really identified with Calvin, with the father, because at the very end they move him out to the middle of nowhere and they have this perfect 1950s house, and at the very end of the movie he steps out and he starts pacing off.
Yes, yes.
And I said, that is me. That's exactly the same thing I would do. I thought that was an absolutely brilliant ending. That this is something that's always in the back of his mind.
Well, he's always thinking about that. And I think what's great is that's your vision of the movie, and that works for you. And it is interesting that paranoia or whatever doesn't go away in the in the wake of his allegedly enlightening experience.
Mm-hmm. Don, you have a fallout shelter, don't you?
Of course I do.
Yes, fully staffed, fully staffed.
And I practice swing dancing every night.
Yes.
I'm sure you need practice. Actually, kind of related but unrelated.